Lieutenant Commander Aaron Cole stood at the monitoring station, his eyes locked on the distant swirl of cosmic debris displayed on the holographic screen. The headquarters of Earth's Deep Space Surveillance Network was a round-the-clock operation that watched over the outer edges of the solar system. Yet nothing had prepared the staff for the readings they saw now. Over the past few weeks, sensors had intercepted anomalies that looked disturbingly artificial. Subtle distortions in subspace, faint energy bursts, and flickers of heat where there should be none. Initially dismissed as instrument failure, the signals stubbornly persisted, growing in amplitude each day. Cole had insisted on deeper investigation. Using high-powered telescopes stationed in orbit around Saturn's moons, he pinpointed the source, an array of elongated craft lurking in the shadows just beyond Neptune's orbit. They moved with an eerie coordination. After repeated close analyses, the conclusion became obvious. These were extraterrestrial warships. Word spread through the corridors of Earth's United Defense Command. Generals in formal suits and admirals in crisp uniforms converged in a hastily organized summit, overshadowed by the revelation that humankind might face an impending invasion. What had previously been the stuff of rumors and fringe theories had materialized in a single terrifying truth. Somewhere beyond Pluto, an advanced alien fleet was positioning itself. Whether for reconnaissance or the beginnings of an assault was unclear. In an emergency conference called by Earth Security Council, the footage taken by Saturn's orbiting telescopes played on giant screens. There was no longer room for doubt. The shapes moving through the darkness were enormous, some at least 5 or 6 kilometers in length. They bristled with protrusions that resembled weapons and glowed with a faint blue luminescence. Each time they shifted positions, flight formations changed with discipline. President Nadine Roth nodded grimly as the last face joined the conference via secure hologram. Military tacticians, planetary defense experts, and heads of state from allied human colonies all stared nervously into their screens. Towering over their discussions was a single question. Should Earth wait for the aliens to make a move, or should they strike first? The debate lasted for hours. No one wanted to cast the first stone without cause. Members of the international community had not forgotten the lessons of Earth's own blood-stained history. Yet neither could anyone ignore the suggestion that time was short. Reports suggested the alien fleet was steadily growing. Unidentified signals indicated smaller crafts, scouts or corvettes, detaching from the larger carriers and moving closer, scanning the edges of the solar system. All the while, Earth's intelligence officers tried to glean more about the visitors, but with their advanced stealth technology, the aliens remained frustratingly opaque. Ultimately, the Council made a decision unprecedented in its severity. Earth would launch a preemptive strike, but only as a warning shot, meant to signal that the planet was neither vulnerable nor unprepared. The plan, classified as Operation Dawn Shield, called for deploying a new class of human warships powered by the latest generation of fusion drives and armed with prototypes of antimatter warheads. The technology had been theoretical until only a few years prior, and no one was sure how the weapons would perform in actual combat. But doubt gave way to necessity. If they did nothing and were attacked off guard, Earth could fall. Cole became one of the key liaisons for the initiative. His calm demeanor and encyclopedic knowledge of deep space reconnaissance made him invaluable. Overnight, he was transferred from his post to the flagship of the newly minted Earth Defense Fleet, the EDS Aegis. The Aegis was the pride of Earth shipyards, a 2-kilometer-long vessel with thick hull plating, designed to withstand direct hits from railguns and plasma cannons alike. Housed within her hangars were dozens of fighter squadrons and a command center with direct uplink to Earth's strategic AI. When the Aegis undocked from the Mars Orbital Fleet Yard, millions of citizens watched via broadcast. They saw the behemoth vessel pivot gracefully in the vacuum, thrusters lighting up in a controlled burn that propelled it beyond the red planet's orbit. Accompanying the flagship were 6 cruisers, 8 frigates, and a small wing of stealth corvettes. By Earth standards, the armada was formidable. a testament to strides in aerospace technology since humanity had colonized Luna and initiated supply outposts near Mars. Whether it would compare to what the aliens possessed was anyone's guess. As the fleet traveled outward, tensions mounted. Within the Aegis war room, star charts flickered on large displays. Astronavigators calculated hyperspace jumps that shaved days off the journey, but the final approach to the aliens' position demanded stealth if their preemptive strike was to remain a surprise. Subspace radio transmissions from Earth's intelligence satellites suggested that the alien formation was spread out over thousands of kilometers, stationed near the swirling mass of the Kuiper Belt. Their forward scouts occasionally ventured inward, though no confrontation had yet occurred. Stealth corvettes under Commander Yui Nakamura were deployed on ahead. These ships used experimental cloaking shields that bent light around their hulls, rendering them nearly invisible except under the closest scrutiny. For 72 hours, the corvettes drifted silently, intermittently relaying sensor data back to the main flotilla. Details slowly emerged. The alien fleet had 3 massive carriers, each flanked by smaller destroyers. Strange, spherical pods, possibly troop transports, were arrayed on the carriers' undercarriages. The vessel's weapon emplacements were unlike anything Earth's engineers had ever envisioned. A mix of slender spires and rotating turrets that seemed to radiate energy in the ultraviolet spectrum. The first direct visuals captured from the corvettes confirmed everyone's fears. The aliens were indeed preparing for something large-scale. Their embarkation decks showed lines of craft ready for launch. Swarms of smaller fighters flitted about, lighting up the void with short bursts of power. Power signatures soared, and the once quiet corner of space seemed on the verge of a cataclysmic showdown. Aboard the Aegis, Cole and Nakamura delivered a sobering briefing to High Admiral LaRue, the overall commander of Operation Dawn Shield. LaRue, a tall woman with a streak of gray in her close-cropped hair, studied the images in silence. She tapped a control on her console, bringing up a rotating, 3-dimensional model of the alien fleet. She asked few questions, but wore an expression that suggested her mind was sorting through battle possibilities and searching for vulnerabilities. With time running short, the decision was made to strike not only as a warning, but with enough force to clip the enemy's wings before they could launch an all-out attack on Earth. The plan involved a multi-pronged offensive. Half the Earth defense fleet, led by the Aegis, would crush the aliens' forward scouting units, preventing them from alerting the main carriers. Meanwhile, a strike team composed of cruisers and frigates would make a hyperspace jump directly into the heart of the alien formation. Utilizing antimatter warheads and high-intensity rail cannons, they would perform a hit-and-fade operation, targeting the carrier's critical systems. If executed perfectly, it could decimate the alien fleet before they even realized Earth had discovered them. On the appointed hour, each ship slid into its designated position. The corvettes drew close and readied infiltration protocols, their cloaking systems humming at maximum capacity. The Aegis let loose dozens of small autonomous drones, each carrying sensor arrays that mapped out the alien ships in granular detail. Earth's strategic AI processed terabytes of data, identifying weak points in armor plating and hypothesizing how the alien energy field might be disrupted. There was no guarantee that their assumptions about the aliens' technology were correct, but it was the best Earth had to go on. Admiral LaRue's final words before the operation began were broadcast through the entire fleet. "Humanity stands on a precipice. Tonight we show that we will not be cowed by the unknown. Be vigilant, be strong, honor the billions who look to us for protection. Engage." Moments later, in a collective burst of propulsion, the Earth Defense Fleet sprang into action. The quiet blackness of space erupted in jets of illuminated exhaust as engines blazed. Fighters launched from the cruisers like a swarm of hornets, weaving patterns of shifting formation. With lethal precision, they descended on the alien scouts posted on the perimeter. Energy beams lanced out in shimmering arcs, silent in the vacuum but deadly upon contact. The bright flashes of impacts illuminated hulls, revealing for brief moments the stark terror in the alien design. The aliens reacted quickly. The advanced stealth corvettes found they could not remain entirely undetected as the enemy ships were equipped with sophisticated scanning systems, possibly using quantum entanglement or gravitational ripples to spot cloaked vessels. Red warning lights went off across the Earth fleet. Within seconds, an alarmed alien squadron peeled off from the main body of the carriers, heading straight for the intruders. The strategy of a surprise infiltration started to unravel. Yet Earth's carefully laid plan kept its shape. Under the cover of the initial chaos, the strike team, commanded by Captain Jin Oh, performed a calculated hyperspace jump behind the primary carrier formation. Emerging from a shimmering distortion in space, they unleashed their payload of antimatter warheads. The newborn sons of explosive fury lit up the region. Clouds of unshackled energy tore through the thick hulls of the carriers, shredding metal as if it were paper. A triumphant roar echoed through the communications channels of the human fleet. Captain O radioed success. Direct hit on Carrier 1. She's venting atmosphere. Engines compromised. Cheers erupted on the Aegis bridge. On the tactical screen, the lead alien carrier had begun to list to one side, emergency lights flickering. But the victory was sobered by the realization that the second and third carriers remained largely intact. The aliens retaliated with a barrage of their own. Towers on the carriers rotated, each tip shining with dazzling intensity. Lances of alien energy burst forth, bridging the distance in silent coronas of destruction. A cluster of Earth frigates took the brunt. In an instant, the frigates' shields winked out, and their hulls began to corrode under the intense radiation. One frigate lost power altogether, its inert mass spinning uncontrollably into the darkness. Somewhere inside it, crew members scrambled for life pods. Throughout the battle, Cole stationed himself at a central console, analyzing sensor readings in real time. He called out enemy vector changes and predicted blast trajectories. As he hollered updates, the Earth bombardment units maneuvered sharply to avoid the worst of the alien onslaught. Several times the alien beams grazed the Aegis, causing decks to rattle and overhead lights to flicker. But the behemoth carriers' advanced shields and multiple layers of armor held. The real test came when Earth's antimatter cannons were brought to bear on the second alien carrier. From an upper deck of the Aegis, twin cannons the size of skyscrapers began charging. Engineers had poured years of research into harnessing antimatter responsibly, and now it was about to be unleashed in the vacuum of interplanetary space. At the pinnacle of the charge, the cannons unleashed pulses that tore forward in concentrated beams of annihilation. The second carrier's defense system flared in vain as shards of bright fury tore through its superstructure. Debris fanned outward, scattering into space lamps that flickered with residual energy. The alien resistance only grew bitterer. Their destroyers launched seeker drones that guided smaller but relentless plasma blasts. Several Earth cruisers spun in place, rotating their defensive turrets to intercept the incoming projectiles. Explosions speckled the blackness, filling the area with the drifting haze of superheated metal and swirling remains of shattered craft. In space, the conflict felt paradoxically silent. The scale of violence accompanied by no more than fleeting glimpses on sensor readouts. Crews watched adrift in a hush only broken by the hum of ventilation and the urgent voices over comms. On the alien side, the third carrier fought back with remarkable ferocity. Even as it came under concentrated fire from the Earth ships, it unleashed wave after wave of smaller craft. These fighters cut swiftly through the Earth formations, exploiting every gap. Some Earth corvettes took direct hits, their hulls rupturing in brilliant flashes that spelled their doom. Over and over, the Earth fleet had to regroup to stave off infiltration. Casualties mounted, and Earth's comm channels were soon thick with rescue calls, damage reports, and frantic pleas for reinforcements. In the midst of chaos, a surprising development erupted. From the battered flank of the first crippled carrier, an alien vessel emerged, a smaller command ship perhaps, designed for infiltration. Instead of fleeing, it turned and accelerated toward the Aegis. By the time human sensors locked onto it, the ship was already dangerously close. Muffled exclamations of shock swept through the Aegis bridge. Automatic point defense turrets swiveled and fired, scoring hits that ignited small bursts along the alien ship's hull. But it pressed on. Admiral LaRue shouted into her microphone, "Brace for impact! Emergency maneuvers maximum thrusters!" The Aegis tried to pivot, but enormous warships could only shift so quickly. Gratification at the carrier's damage gave way to abject alarm. The alien infiltration vessel struck a glancing blow, scraping an entire section of the Aegis's starboard side. The impact registered as a thunderous quake inside the Earth flagship. Decks shifted, and multiple compartments depressurized. Alarms screamed across the ship. Sparks exploded from consoles. Cole was tossed to the floor, struggling to stay alert as klaxons whined. Damage control systems kicked in, sealing compromised segments. Automated repair drones buzzed through the corridors, patching leaks and extinguishing fires. The Aegis remained operational, but the blow to morale was significant. Everyone realized that if the aliens had aimed more carefully, they might have torn straight through the flagship. Earth's victory was not guaranteed. Throughout this, the battered first carrier began to drift away into the darkness, perhaps attempting to break free. It emitted signals of unknown meaning, something that Earth's analysts suspected might be a distress call or a request for reinforcements. Fearing that even larger fleets might arrive at any moment, Admiral LaRue made a gut-wrenching decision. They had to finish the job before it became a protracted war. She ordered an all-out assault. Every functional warship in the Earth flotilla converged on the alien carriers, launching missile salvos, railgun slugs, and antimatter beams. The carriers reeled under the barrage. One after another, they reached critical meltdown. The brilliant blasts, visible even from Earth's outer listening posts. Despite heavy losses, the Earth Defense Fleet had delivered a decisive strike. When the final wave of the assault ended, the alien carriers had been reduced to drifting hulks, crackling with residual energy. The few intact enemy destroyers scrambled away at top speed, leaving behind a graveyard of twisted metal. For the first time that night, the comm channels quieted. The euphoria that swept through the fleet was tempered by all they had sacrificed. Entire sections of Earth warships were ablaze or filled with vacuum. Lives had been lost, and many fighters had vanished without trace. The battered Aegis cruised slowly through the wreckage, scanning for survivors. It was a sobering scene. Swirling debris fields and the drifting silhouettes of once majestic alien vessels. Amid those remains, they discovered signs of the aliens themselves. In glimpses from searchlights, fleeting shapes in advanced environmental suits floated free, their fates uncertain in the cold void. After clearing the region of any immediate threats, Admiral LaRue called for a ceasefire. Humanity had won, in the sense that the suspected invasion had been thwarted. Yet a deep unease gnawed at everyone. The scale of the looming conflict might extend far beyond the single alien battle group they had encountered. Could these invaders be part of a larger galactic power? Had humanity just poked a hornet's nest beyond imagining? Back on Earth, news of the battle broke. Headlines in every major city declared that Earth had triumphed against an alien menace. But what few truly understood was that humankind had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. For centuries, Earth had looked upon the stars and wondered if it was alone. Now, in one brutal night, those stars had been painted with the fire of futuristic war. Military recruiters found themselves swarmed with volunteers. Politicians found themselves forced to address an anxious public. The knowledge that Earth had struck first, even if in self-defense, changed the rhetoric overnight. Within weeks, the United Defense Command reorganized. New warship designs were rushed into production. R&D labs accelerated their studies of advanced shield technology and improved antimatter containment, racing against time to prepare for the possibility that the aliens might retaliate with even more terrifying vessels. Diplomats reached out with what little they knew of the alien language, hoping to offer terms, or at least gather intelligence on the foe civilization. High Admiral LaRue urged caution, believing that humanity had not truly glimpsed the full breadth of the alien arsenal. Scientific communities worldwide shared a mix of excitement and dread. For them, the discovery of alien life was the greatest turning point of all time, yet it had ended in a violent conflagration. Groups took to the streets, some protesting the preemptive strike. They carried signs scrawled with slogans of peace and petitions to invite negotiation. Opposing them were those who viewed the battle as a necessary stand for human survival, praising the leadership for showing strength. Amidst this upheaval, Cole and Nakamura were called to a clandestine meeting on Earth. A black armored transport took them to a hidden facility beneath the Nevada desert, where a council of top officers awaited. They had recovered partial logs from the alien carriers. Piecing them together revealed cryptic references to a Council of 9 systems and a grand design to subjugate new worlds. The incomplete data offered just enough to confirm that Earth's suspicion of an impending invasion had been warranted. It also suggested that the battered fleet near Neptune had been only a vanguard, part of a larger network of fleets. The decisive blow Earth struck might have sent shockwaves across an interstellar empire. At the facility, they also examined pieces of alien technology scavenged from wreckage. Specialists marveled at the energy crystals embedded in the carrier's fire systems, clear lumps that refracted light in ways unknown to Earth's physics. Some believed these crystals might be the key to harnessing faster-than-light travel or advanced propulsion. Others warned that messing with unknown alloys and alien artifacts could be disastrous. Still, the path before them was clear. Humanity could not rely on luck or a single preemptive victory. They had to prepare for whatever countermeasures the aliens might take. Over the following months, the Earth Defense Fleet completed an overhaul under Project Enduring Vigil. Warships were upgraded. The hull designs adapted ideas gleaned from the shattered alien carriers' sloping angles to reflect and disperse energy beams, capacitors capable of absorbing and redirecting partial blasts. The next wave of Earth warships would not just be armed but enhance with the lessons learned that fateful day in the Kuiper Belt. Meanwhile, efforts to broadcast peace signals into the void continued. Representatives from the newly formed Interstellar Diplomacy Office composed messages addressing the alien leadership, apologizing for the bloodshed, yet warning that Earth would not lie vulnerable. Weeks passed without a response. Save for the faintest, scrambled signals near the site of the battle, no one could decode them. Some officials feared that the lack of clarity masked the formation of an even bigger alien task force, while others held hope that the aliens would be dissuaded from further aggression. In time, the events of that single night became legend. Popular culture was forever changed. Songs, holodramas, an entire novel series retold and romanticized the bold preemptive strike. Veterans of Operation Dawn Shield found themselves lauded as heroes, though many carried private scars. Memorials were built for those who fell. Through it all, humankind merged its sense of triumph with the humility born of the knowledge that they were no longer alone in the cosmos. The lasting impact of Earth's first strike manifested in the realm of galactic warfare. Some few months later, even passing merchant traders from distant star systems arrived, with rumors that the use of antimatter warheads against major carriers had shaken the foundations of known galactic powers. For centuries, advanced species had faced each other in ritualized skirmishes, adhering to rules that limited widespread devastation. But humankind dove in with a terrifying directness, baptizing themselves in the fires of conflict. Whispers circulated that the Council of 9 systems viewed Earth with a mix of fear and fury. No one on Earth's side knew how soon a new threat would materialize, or in what form. Yet they could not ignore the reality. They had shattered the status quo in a single audacious move. The message had been sent that if any empire sought Earth's destruction, they would face a civilization willing to fight with everything at its disposal. In the years that followed, Earth's vigilance never wavered. Fleets patrolled the outer boundaries of the solar system, scanning each passing comet or celestial body for lurking enemies. Diplomats reached out to known starfaring races, carefully building alliances with species that recognized Earth's new place in the galactic balance of power. An arms race in stealth and defensive technology blossomed across the stars, spurred by glimpses of what humanity had unleashed. For Lieutenant Commander Aaron Cole, the battle had sad undertones. He often dreamt of the shattered hulls, the bright bursts of antimatter, and the eerie quiet that came after. It never escaped him that on that night of triumph, entire generations of aliens lost their lives. Yet the threat they posed to Earth had been far too great to ignore. If the aliens returned one day, it would doubtless be on a scale that dwarfed the vanguard they had encountered. And so, amid the excitement of forging a new age and the dread of future reprisals, humanity learned to look inward for unity. From the smallest child in a Martian classroom to the highest-ranked general in a meeting on Earth, everyone recognized that the preemptive strike, necessary or not, had launched them into a cosmic arena far beyond any rivalry they had known before. It was the start of a grand, uncertain saga. The only constant was the vow that as a species, humans would stand guard over their world and chart their own destiny among the stars. No matter what followed, they would never again wait for a conqueror's knock at the door. They had shown the galaxy that Earth was ready and willing to strike first.